Hey everyone, it's Friday morning, June 12th, and welcome back to Capital Markets Quickie. I'm your host, Endrit Sella, here to break down yesterday's market action in just 2 minutes. Quick note before we dive in. Today's episode is brought to you by AMF Capital Asset Management Frankfurt. Learn more about our funds and strategies at amf-capital.de. Alright, let's get started. Well, after a rough stretch for markets, investors finally got something to cheer about yesterday. U.S. stocks rallied sharply after President Trump announced that he had canceled planned military strikes against Iran. The news marked a major shift from the geopolitical tensions that had been weighing on markets recently and immediately boosted investor sentiment. The Dow Jones jumped more than 900 points, gaining around 1.8%. The Standard & Poor's 500 climbed more than 1.7%, while the Nasdaq led the way with a gain of roughly 2.5%. Markets moved even higher after Trump suggested that discussions with Iranian leadership had reached a very advanced stage and that a potential agreement could be announced soon. Meanwhile, oil prices dropped more than 3% as concerns about a broader conflict in the Middle East eased. On the economic front, investors also digested fresh inflation data. Wholesale inflation for May came in higher than expected, following the consumer inflation report released earlier this week. While inflation remains a concern, the market's focus yesterday was clearly on geopolitics. In corporate news, Oracle reported earnings that beat expectations. However, investors were disappointed by weaker cloud sales and plans to raise additional capital, sending the stock lower despite the earnings beat. We also got some interesting news from Europe today. The European Central Bank raised its 3 key interest rates by 25 basis points, marking its first rate increase since September 2023. The decision, announced by the European Central Bank, effectively reverses the previous monetary easing cycle due to fresh inflationary pressures. Markets expect more rate hikes this year in Europe. And now, all eyes turn to today. The biggest event of the week is expected to be the market debut of SpaceX, which could become the largest initial public offering in history. So, plenty for investors to watch as we head into the end of the week. Alright, that's it for today's Capital Markets Quickie. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe and stay in the loop. See you tomorrow morning.